Hello, everybody. I'm coming back into Batman Forever for a bit to show off something I lately discovered. I was trying to figure out if there was maybe a way to look into the game's code and figure out how to look in the code to see maybe the input for the inmate's electrical berserker move might be in there, but I couldn't find it. But I did find some Game Genie codes that let you play as other characters that I was able to get working with this emulator. So here I'm activated the level select. We're going to go to stage here. And you'll see when it starts, I'm actually playing as the inmate, but I'm in the story mode and I'm not a hologram. Now, there are some caveats to playing as other characters. For one, they don't have access to the grappling hook and can't jump down holes like Batman and Robin. If you try to jump down a hole as one of the characters that aren't Batman or Robin, the character just disappears, and then you can't control it. You have to start and select out of here, so you really do need to use the level select code. But yeah, you can see here I'm fighting some of the guys that you normally fight here. I'll show the other caveat of playing as these characters. Some of them have specific sound effects that are tailored to them. So if I use a move that, makes a sound that would normally only be heard on the level where you'd see these enemies, like I just used the spray can, you hear the music get all slow, and the sound effects can get all screwy too. Here I use the electricity wave and start hitting Titan here with electricity, and you'll notice the music has gotten a little odd. That's because the game doesn't expect to make the inmate sound effects. I think that might be why the Riddler thugs can glitch up the summoned by the Riddler in training can glitch out the sound. Interestingly enough, I found some Game Genie codes that let me play as characters you can't normally play as on the Super Nintendo version. You'll see here, I've activated Two-Face as my playable character. And again, normally you cannot play as Two-Face in the Super Nintendo version of Batman Forever. He is playable on Genesis, but if you try to play as him on Super Nintendo, you'll quickly notice that he was obviously not designed to be controlled by the player. And I'll demonstrate what I mean. So I'm going to warp myself to the very last level, the part where you fight Two-Face and the Riddler. You'll see I'm controlling Two-Face. There's the other Two-Face. You notice I'm trying to do attacks, but I can't do any aerial attacks. I can low kick when facing to the left, and low punch. I can do the bear trap. It's forward, forward, low punch when facing left. And you'll see the other Two-Faces using those two knives to stab at me. I don't know how to do that move. I tried to figure it out. Yeah. He's also throwing knives, and he has a Tommy gun when facing right. I do know how to do those. I'll show those off. See, the bear trap is forward, forward, low punch when you're facing to the left. The knife and the coin flip, I don't know how to do. But the Tommy gun is quarter circle forward and low punch when you're facing to the right. And the knife throw is quarter circle to high punch when facing to the right. I also know the Two-Face has some kind of flip kick he can perform when facing right, but I don't know how to do that move either. So I'm going to give you the Game Genie codes in the text to show off how to pick these characters if you have Game Genie or an emulator, and you can try out Two-Face to see if you can find those other special moves. If you do find them, let me know and I'll credit you for it. But yeah, if you try to do any other move, you can see here I'm just low punching the Riddler. If you try to do any move that Two-Face wouldn't normally have, like a high kick or an uppercut or a foot sweep, he just disappears. You also can't block as Two-Face. He'll just disappear when you do that too. Yeah, you see I got the knife throw and the other items. Defeated the Riddler here. I'll show off the other code. So for the final code, I decided to head into the training mode, since this works also in training mode as well. You can play as Two-Face and it'll be a hologram. And here you just saw I picked the Muscle Riddler, who was the boss you fight in that last area that I was low punching as Two-Face. Now, I don't know how to do any of his special moves, or even if they can be done, since again, you're not normally supposed to be able to play as him. The only moves on the Muscle Riddler that work are the roundhouse kick, the low punch, the throw, the close range high punch where you do that overhead smash. You can jump, but you have no jump attacks. You can see if I crouch or try to do other moves, I just disappear. Yeah, I know the Riddler has two moves in the muscle form. One is the Earthquake Stomp. I don't know how to do that. And he has one where he flexes to heal himself. I don't know how to do that either. But the Game Genie code to play as the Muscle Riddler will appear, and you'll be able to try him out for yourself. If you can find his special moves, let me know, and I'll credit you for it. So yeah, that's just something I found in Batman Forever. But next we're going to move into another game that I wanted to talk about. Mainly one of my favorite beat-em-ups on the Super Nintendo, as well as some of the special moves that are like hidden in that game, kind of like the hidden special moves in Batman Forever that I wanted to talk about and show off how to do them. So, a little bit of a backstory first. I was 10 years old, I believe, when I first got the Super Nintendo, as it was 1992, and the video store where I bought it from was showing off the newest games that were available. One was The Terminator on the NES, and another one was Street Fighter II on the Super Nintendo, which had recently come out, and I wanted to get the Super Nintendo, and the one I got didn't come with Super Mario World, so my mom bought me a game to go with it, and I tried some of the games that they had there available, and the one I ended up choosing to play was the first game for my Super Nintendo collection was Contra 3, the Alien Wars. Should be showing some footage of that game right now. And I eventually get Street Fighter 2 and a few other games. Mainly Capcom had a lot of the games that I had in my Super Nintendo collection. Along with Street Fighter 2, I had all three Mega Man X games when those came out. And I even had Aladdin for the Super Nintendo, which was also made by Capcom. The Genesis version was made by Virgin Interactive and was a completely different kind of game. One of my favorite genres of games to play on the Super Nintendo were side-scrolling beat-em-ups. I played the original Final Fight, even though on the Super Nintendo you could only play as Hagar or Cody, and it was only one player. Though the sequels would come out, which had two-player co-op and three-player characters in Final Fight 2, and Final Fight 3 had four playable characters, two-player co-op, and even a one-player co-op where the CPU controlled a second character. And you could play through the game by yourself with an ally being controlled by the computer itself, which is pretty neat. There was also Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, which that was a good one. And there was a few other beat-em-ups I remember playing. And I think Return of Double Dragon, or Super Double Dragon, was one of them. But my personal favorite was actually part of a series that gets a bit chronologically confused, if I'm gonna quote the angry video game nerd a bit. One of the earliest sets of beat-em-ups for the Super Famicom was Jaleco's Rushing Beat series. There were three games: Rushing Beat Ran Fukusei Toshi, which translated to Rushing Beat Chaos, the City of Clones, and Rushing Beat Shura, which translates to Asura, the demigod of war in Buddhist and Hindu religion. When these games were released in other regions for the Super Nintendo, Jaleco, for whatever reason, decided to change the titles of each game, along with a few gameplay elements. Rushing Beat became Rival Turf, complete with that exclamation point. Rushing Beat Ran became Brawl Brothers, and Rushing Beat Shura became The Peacekeepers. I wonder if the reason Jaleco did this was to try and make us not think that these games were part of the same series, as two of the main characters in the series are detective and martial artist Rick Norton and pro wrestler and police officer Douglas Bild, basically the Cody and Hagar of the Rushing Beat series. In Rival Turf and Brawl Brothers, their names were changed. Rick Norton's name was changed to Jack Flack in Rival Turf and Hack in Brawl Brothers, while Douglas Bild was renamed Uzi Nelson in Rival Turf and Slash in Brawl Brothers. Brawl Brothers happens to be my favorite beat-em-up on the Super Nintendo. It looks good, and the soundtrack is a real banger. You might recognize the boss theme from this game, as I use it as Imposter's theme music in Powerpuff Z3 and Powerpuff ZX. There are 5 playable characters, including Norton and Build, again renamed to Hack and Slash, and 3 new characters in Lord J the Judoka, Kazan the Ninja, and Wendy Milan, the female pro wrestler. I recently learned there is a new game in the works called Rushing Beat X, Return of Brawl Brothers, which all of these characters, plus a new one called Kahula, will be playable. There does exist a code in Brawl Brothers to switch the game to Rushing Beat Ran, the Japanese version. When the Jalico logo appears, hit BAXY in this order as rapidly as you can. If you do it right, the game will load to a glitchy screen instead of the Brawl Brothers title. Hit start to bring up the menu. You won't be able to see the menu as it's currently glitched, but just press down 3 times and hit start to enter the option menu. When you leave the option menu, the title of the game will have changed to Rushing Beat Ran. What's different about this version, aside from the names of Norton, Beeld, and the enemies being changed back to what they were originally are the sewer in Stage 1 and the elevator in Stage 3 are linear instead of a maze. Now let's get to the real meat of this video at last. The real reason Brawl Brothers is my favorite beat-em-up on the Super Nintendo is because there are secret super moves you can perform in the game. Every character does have a regular special attack that costs a bit of health to use when you press the A button. Lord J creates an electric wave, Norton does this rapid energy punch volley that ends in a glowing uppercut, Kazan vanishes and slashes up the enemies while off-screen, Wendy does a front flip kick, and Beeld does Dan Hibiki's Gadoken from Street Fighter. Although they cost health to use, if you avoid taking any further damage for long enough, you actually recover the health you spent using the special attacks. These are not the secret moves I wanted to show off. First, each game in the Rushing Beat series includes an Ikari, or Angry mode. When you take enough damage, your character will start glowing, at which time you're invincible and can perform super versions of their throws. Every character, however, also has a hidden combination you can perform when grabbing an enemy that lets you perform the Ikari version of their throws at any time.
We'll start with Lord J.
I decided to re-record this part since my audio wasn't doing very good. But I talk about how to do all the Ikari throws as well as the other special moves. You'll see the Ikari Tomonage appeared on screen, which is back, forward, back, and then the Y button, which is the standard attack button. And rather than just tossing them a short distance, you toss them a long distance. I show off the Ikari pile driver with Wendy here. It's up, down, towards, and Y. Makes her do a pile driver if she jumps really high up into the air. And to do more damage, I show off hitting left and right, makes her do a move that the boss version of Wendy has, where she dives off the ropes, but it's glitched in Brawl Brothers so that you'll end up just hurting yourself doing the move. And if you're not in the boss stage or the versus mode, you'll actually get stuck on off screen and you'll have to reset the game. So it's not that useful of a move.
Alright.
Next I showed off Kazan's supers. The first thing I forgot, I re-recorded this part because I forgot to talk about his Ikari toss. To do this, you hit up, down, forward, back, and Y after grabbing an opponent. Instead of slamming them into the ground, Kazan will toss them really high up into the air, send them flying away off the screen. Then after I slam a couple more guys and then toss another one, it'll cut to his glitched super moves, the ones that aren't normally available to him. So here I just slamming a few more guys and I'll show off the shuriken toss, which is to press left and right on the control pad at the same time. Yeah, again, these are moves meant only for the boss versions. I mentioned there that shurikens won't hit enemies, and they can cause funny graphical glitches. Like they'll change color or into different objects. You can also only throw them to the left, which is kind of amusing. Here I use this regular special move. I'll show off the other move. I healed myself with the chicken leg that appeared, and then once I'm healed, I show off the Shuriken Vanish, another glitched boss move where you're supposed to disappear and toss shurikens in all directions, but you just hurt yourself doing that. One of the moves the boss version of Kazan uses. The next character I showed off is Beeld. I show off he has a much better and more actually usable special moves. B and X makes him do this flying fire kick move. I call it the high dive kick in the text. Y and X at the same time makes him blow fire and a lighter and can light enemies up with it. And his Akari Power Bomb, which you grab an opponent, hit up, down, away, towards, and Y, and it'll jump way up into the air. Then I showed off Norton's special moves, which are a little amusing. So first, left and right makes him do this fireball move, which kind of looks like the Yoga Fire. There was a move the final boss in Rushing Beat 1 or Rival Turf had, where he blows fireballs at you from his mouth. I showed the Akari throw, which I called the Akari Slider. It's up, down, forward to throw them forward, and then up, down, forward, back to throw them behind you. And if you do it right, instead of flying into the air, they'll slide across the ground like that. He's also got the power uppercut, as I call it here, which is pressing Y and B at the same time, basically the attack and jump button. Then if you can press B, A, and R all at the same time, all three buttons, you'll do the Falcon Strike, which was the final boss Kintart's special attack that he used against you in Rushing Beat or Rival Turf at the end of the game. And it's probably the most powerful move in the game. It does big damage like all the super moves, and Norton is invincible while doing it. Here I go into Akari mode, and you just get the slider. Here I show off with a fireball some more. You can see it's glitchy. It shoots kind of like a flaming arrow. This is a move only the boss is supposed to be able to use, since you can fight a boss version of Norton. I cut over to the final boss of the game, which is Iceman. This is a character that also is also called Theater in Brawl Brothers. Here I'm playing the Rushing Beat Ran with the code. Here I keep trying to hit him with the Falcon Strike move. You kind of have to wait for him to give you an opening. That when he starts twirling it like that as the opening, you have to hit him. If you try to grab him, though, he just kind of pushes you off. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to knock his health down enough so that he drops the little stick weapon he's using. See, when I'm in Akari mode, I can grab him and toss him. Now he's broken his weapon. And what I'm going to show off after this is that there's a Game Genie code that lets you play as the final boss of the game. And I show off how glitchy he is, as well as what his moves are. Here he kind of beats me up, but he shows off this crazy move. That's his boss-only glitchy move when you play as him with the Game Genie code. He'll take the pose like he's doing the move, but he won't shoot out that crazy-looking, like, cloud ghost thing that comes out and hits you if you are on the same plane as him. So we're just going to keep trying to dive bomb him, keep trying to hit him with attacks, or hit him with an elbow. And yeah, the boss has very limited moves, kind of like a Two-Face of the Riddler did in Batman Forever with the Game Genie code. Like the Muscle Riddler. Here you can see him just keep dive bombing into him with the super move. Yeah, again, to do that, you just press the B button, A button, and R button all at the same time on your controller. And I beat him. So, the Game Genie code. Then I cut here, and I show the Game Genie code that will show off how to play as Dieter/Iceman, depending on which version of the game you're playing. When you put the code in, you have to select Kazan as your character, and you'll see it switch him to Dieter. the guy in the sunglasses holding the rose. Now, the first time I tried to show off the code, the game froze up in like a black screen, but the second time I tried it, it worked. So there I am, playing as the final boss of the game. He has pretty standard move. He has like a kick, and then he does a backflip kick as his combo. You can hit L just to do the backflip kick on its own, and that move there where he was like kind of sliding while doing all kinds of poses, that's how he runs, since the boss doesn't normally run when you fight him. So he just has a bunch of different poses he takes as he slides forward. And yeah, pressing L will make him do that backflip kick that knocks the opponent into the air and does a bunch of damage. You can do a jump kick, but as I show off here, it's kind of hard to land it on the regular enemies. There's also his throw is kind of glitched on the standard enemies in the game. To show off, hitting R makes him do his roundhouse kick. Left and right does that Ghost Blast move he had as the boss, but it doesn't work when you're playing as him with the Game Genie code. Got ahead a bit to show off he still gets Akari mode, even though his throw doesn't change. It's still all glitchy. Yeah, what's supposed to happen is he's supposed to throw them up into the air and they land on the ground, but as you see, they just kind of glitch up in the air. And I comment on the fact that when you pick up a melee weapon and try to use it, he starts glitching out. I'm guessing that's because normally the boss wouldn't be able to pick up a bat or a pipe and try to swing it, but he can pick up food and eat it, and it doesn't even glitch him out. I cut ahead a bit. You can probably notice I lost a couple lives getting to the sewer in the first stage, because playing as the final boss is actually harder than it seems. You'd think, oh, well, he had all those moves, it was kicking your butt when you were fighting him, but yeah, he doesn't have any of the same utilities as the regular playable characters. So he can't do like the special attacks or like jump to get out of a move or like counterattacks and such. And you see here, I just keep using the R button roundhouse move to knock enemies away from me. And it deals good damage to him. So does the backflip kick. I cut ahead again because I thought, like the first time I tried this, it was gonna freeze once I got to past these guys and it went to the boss area. I tried to escape a throw there and failed. Playing as a Deator / Iceman, you can break out of throws, and if you escape a throw from the behind, he actually does a glitched move, which is kind of funny looking. Yeah, you'll see here I moved on to the boss this time, and I'm actually fighting Kazan, even though I selected him as my character to play as Deator. Also, I like how Deator is, his portrait is actually that of the J-Worker / Leadhead enemy. And the reason the boss is glowing red like that is because I tried to use the Akari Ghost attack on him. Normally a Deator would glow like that, and instead it makes the boss glow like that instead, which is kind of funny. Here you'll see the boss version of Kazan is doing pretty good against me. He slid kicked into me to stop my backflip kick. For this boss, Kazan flips the stage in this room. That's exclusive to the boss, of course. Tried to grab him here, but he kept moving back, so there you see I hit him with a roundhouse. He hit me with the shuriken move, but as the boss, it actually works for the boss because they're actually meant to use it. See there, you say he hit me with the regular shuriken too. Then he countered my throw there. Then I beat him. And this was about the part where I ended the video. I actually tried the Akari Ghost move again. That's why Deator's just standing there flexing. He actually doesn't have like a taunt you can perform with the X button that he performs automatically when you win a round. And yeah, that's how I ended the video. So I re-recorded so you could hear me this time, and I wanted to thank you for watching. I'll see you for the next video.